Absolutely thrilled to be here today. As you may have noticed, Tallgrass Prairie, the place, one of the many places that makes this market smell so darn good, has donated some snacks for us. They've got their wonderful cinnamon buns over there, so if you haven't already helped yourself, please do. And thank you, Tallgrass Prairie, for that. Green Please has donated an amazing prize for one lucky scavenger hunter. We've got a scavenger hunt coming up for the kids. They'll all get to take something home, but the kid who wins gets this incredible prize pack from Green Please, paints, toys, a lunch kit. And the scavenger hunt for kids is going to start in about 30 to 45 minutes, so hang in there. Jean Berard Gardens has donated some beautiful multicolored carrots for every kid who participates in the scavenger hunt. I love purple carrots, aren't they incredible? I actually, thinking about the purple carrot, had a memory. I remembered when I was little, of course my dad grew up in Prince Edward Island on a farm. And when I was growing up in Nova Scotia, every year our yard would get a little bit smaller and our garden would get a little bit bigger. And so Dad was always growing stuff. And I remember as a kid, my favorite thing would be to pull carrots straight out of the garden, and all I did to clean them was I wiped them in the grass, and then I'd eat them. Do you remember that? I never thought, and nobody ever warned me about chemicals, because you know what? We didn't use them. There were none on the grass, there were none on the garden. Dad was incredibly organic before organic was cool. It's just the way you did stuff, right? It's the way it had always been done. I wish I could still do that with carrots today, and I'm glad that with this group and with this encouragement, the program that we're trying to do now, we can get back to that. Good, healthy, real food. So thank you to all our generous sponsors. Vita Health has sponsored the ingredients for our local VOR presentation that's going to take place shortly, and thanks so much to the Forks for letting us use this space. So we have 3 goals for our Dig In Challenge. That's going to encourage you to eat close to home, learn new food skills, and be the difference for fair food. We're going to be incorporating all these goals for our launch today, beginning with learning a new food skill. It's a good thing. Open your brain, get it working on this Saturday afternoon. So I'm going to welcome these wonderful young women here. These are our local VOR Iron Chef high school cooking champions, the Sizzler Squashers. What a great name. Please welcome Charmaine, Megan, Clarice, and Lauren.
At the Sustainability Conference, we were introduced to the organic garden at our school, which we plant vegetables and we use them in our school activities. Lauren will talk about this garden at our school.
At our garden, we would meet every week in the summer to plant and water our garden, and we learned from the beginning, from digging our garden to planting the seeds and to harvesting it, and we even learned to preserve it in our school to use in other activities such as after-school cookers.
So after gardening, after-school cookers join, and for after-school cookers we meet once a month, the first Tuesday and Wednesday of once a month, and then we learn how to use ingredients such as local sausage in Winnipeg, buckwheat, and being academic-based school, we don't have time for foods as an elective, so this is a good way for us to meet after school. And this is actually jam that we preserved ourselves in our garden, and these are muffins that we use squash from our garden in, and the jam that we use. And from after-school cookers, we learned how to preserve chutney and our tomato, and we froze rosemary, which we used in our local VOR recipe.
So for the local VOR competition, we wanted to make a salad, and we also made pasta, and we used cheese, and the recipe needed Parmesan, but since we can't find that in Winnipeg, we substituted it with old cheddar from Bothwell cheese and a Sokol. And we also wanted to use peppers, but since peppers are usually grown in Mexico, we substituted that with carrots, which is local too. And So that brings us all back to today, where we are preparing for our sustainability conference, which will be happening on the next week. We brought muffins that are actually supposed to be used for the sustainability conference that we will feed them with food that we got from our garden. And for locavore, all of our ingredients were local. Like we tried so hard to get local ingredients, and we adapted our recipe. Yeah.
So what was the biggest thing you guys learned doing this?
Especially for locavore, we learned that how important it is to buy local food and how we don't need to transport lots of food into Winnipeg. We can grow so much local food here and use them and preserve them and use them during the winter.
So even with, obviously in transporting, there's lots of gas and greenhouse gases and things that get used in that. But why else is it important to eat local, do you think?
It supports our own economy in Winnipeg and like local farmers. Yeah.
Yeah? Great. Well, that's fantastic, guys. Well done.
Thank you.
Do you think you're going to stick to it? I mean, you're just young. You're just starting out. Can you honestly see yourself 10 years from now, 20 years from now, still canning, still doing, really? That's fabulous.
We learned, from After School Cookers, we learned how to can everything and we can do it ourselves.
I'd like to invite, the Dig-In Challenge is hoping to connect you. So we've got Curtis Brown of Food Ethos Farm and Bruce Berry of Almost Urban Vegetables. So guys, I mean, farming isn't easy. Is this a generational thing? Like, why the heck would you choose farming as a vocation?
Okay, well, I grew up on a farm in southwest Manitoba, near Melita, Manitoba. I came to university and decided after a year or so of general studies that agriculture looked like it was still an industry that I thought I could make a job out of, and so I kind of went into some environmental stuff within agriculture. And then in my last year or two, my girlfriend, who grew up in the city, actually wanted to go out and farm. So it's kind of the city girl taking the country boy back out to the farm. So I'm very excited now, but it kind of took a city girl to get me back out into the country.
Curtis, can I ask you, what do you produce?
What do we produce? We are going to be producing a wide variety of vegetables, from bok choy to your standard carrot, lettuce, but then we're also doing Saskatoons, raspberries, some apples, asparagus, and chickens. Chickens for eggs and meat, and a dozen or so duck.
Just to go backwards, Bruce, I almost called you Barry Bruce, but that's the other guy. This is Bruce Barry. Why are you a farmer?
Okay, I can fill in a blank for you right away on the farmers market. My wife is a coordinator there. So the St. Norbert Farmers Market first day is June 2nd, Saturday, June 2nd. That's the opening of the farmers market this year. So if that helps you.
It does. It helps me greatly. It helps my spirits, and that's my social life on Saturday mornings.
Okay, I came to the whole idea of getting involved in farming pretty late compared to many farmers. My wife and I both had full careers in more non-farming jobs. I was an automation engineer, so I worked for 20 years helping factories go faster 24/7. So I'm probably somewhat responsible for some of the plastic in the Pacific Ocean now, or mostly cars. But we both wanted to change, and so we found farming was a fantastic way to get a complete change, get out of the cubicles, and get into a little bit closer to nature, which is what we were both looking for. My wife had always gardened, and so we decided that we would try small market gardening. And I really call it what we do is a market garden, as opposed to farm. Because sometimes farm, people are thinking red barn and a lot of space. That's sort of extensive agriculture. We do intensive agriculture, which is market gardening. And so your question was, what do we grow? And so we grow about 40 different vegetables and herbs. We kind of focus pretty heavily on greens and herbs. And of course, obviously, the standard root crops, beets, potatoes, carrots as well. And like I said, we got involved late in life. We started getting involved because we thought we could, make out a huge pile of cash for retirement. No, it doesn't quite work out to that way, as anybody who's tried some farming might realize. But it's a very rewarding thing. Every day I feel like I'm doing work that I call worth doing.
Well, can you encourage us? Like, what would you say to me who lives in the city, doesn't have a big chunk of land at all? Can I grow my own food?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I hope more people will try that, because there's a whole movement called spin farming or urban farming that's going on. You have to realize up until only a couple generations ago, most food is grown right near the city, on the edge of the city, okay? Like even today, like some places like Russia, they grow 80% of their vegetables within about a 20-kilometer radius of the city. That's a good model. I mean, it's a very sustainable model. It's something that doesn't need a lot of, petroleum resources to carry that model forward. So I hope we get back there, and people can do a lot of. In the Second World War, they grew something like 40–50% of the vegetables in their backyards. So if there's a lot you can do with a small space.
And why is it important that we get back to eating local fair food?
There's a lot of reasons. Maybe I'll say a few, and then Curtis and Cheryl have some more for you. Okay, eating locally I see in a few different ways. One is that as a producer, I can grow things that you simply can't grow if you're going to take it 1,000 miles, okay? I can grow tomatoes that won't make it for 1,000 miles, but they're incredible, they're delicious, and we can provide those to people because they're getting them the same day we pick them, okay? And so freshness is huge in the local story. Another thing that's really great is so the diversity of the different crops you can grow, right? But even locally, we can grow different things and a lot more variety of things. What would be great is to know how to grow the food that you can immediately see and know this is what it is. It's a carrot. It's food. You don't have to think about what's in that box. What is this ingredient? And there's a lot of that kind of questions I've seen in the media these days sometimes about what is this stuff in here really? I don't really know. So real food is local food typically.
A couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and that's an irritable bowel syndrome, or whatever you want to call it, I guess. But I found that actually when I traveled to Thailand and was eating non-processed food that you knew was pretty much, grown within, a kilometer of the region you were eating it, and that it was, the chicken was probably running around a day or two earlier, I felt that my health was a lot better. And so when I came home, I decided that I was going to eat as much real food as possible, and looking into how much processing it goes into most of the food you find on the shelves in the supermarket. So that real food idea really resonated with me and my family. Also, supporting local farmers is a way to keep. Maybe hard to think about in Winnipeg, where agriculture doesn't really seem like a main part of the industry around here. But growing up in a small town, that's what my town grew up on, and what's the main industry.
What can we do to help farmers?
Yeah, you can.
The farmers are trying their best. Market gardeners, farmers.
No, but you're talking about the guys who are in trouble, right? Like it really is hard.
They're trying their best to try and come up with ideas themselves. CSAs and going to the farmers market is a way to directly, buy their products. But keeping your eye out for agricultural issues that pop up on the radio or on the TV or in the newspaper, you can't just brush off. It's one of my well, not personal mentors, but one of the guys I follow a lot is his name Wendell Berry. He's essentially a farming philosopher in the States, and he says, what is it? Everybody takes part in agriculture in a way. We all eat, we not, and that's an agricultural action. So you need to look into agriculture issues and think about how they actually affect you, and not just brush them off and say that's for politicians or that's for the farmers to think about it. We grow the food so the cities can eat it. So agriculture issues are definitely something you need to follow, for sure.
Also, I'm busy. I'm really busy. And I know that in the, which is two different things, but if the farmer's market's on, or I know there's a farmer's market, I know how I can go buy local food. But how do I do it in the winter? How do I do it in the fall? How can I connect with farmers year-round?
Okay, well, year-round is a little bit tricky depending on what you're buying. If you're buying, let's say, fresh vegetables, I mean, obviously there's a seasonality to that, and there is, that's one way. Yeah. Another way, though, is if you're buying any of your, you just try and buy as much as you can locally. I guess I want to come back to that point, is just to vote with your dollars. Like, your dollars actually have a lot of power, and this message has got to come out from the local food movement, is to use your dollars to vote for a local food. Well, one thing you can do is visit farms. Like, honestly, just visit them. We will never turn anybody down who want to come and see it, okay? And it's really important, because then you start to understand. Like, it's funny how many times at the market I'm 1 kilometer from the market, we always tell people, come on down, see how we're growing this stuff, see what's involved. And, I mean, honestly, not many have showed up yet, like less than this, right? And that's fine, but they're satisfied that I'm there and I'm saying this is what I do. But it really helps, I think, people understand what's going on if they come to the farm, see what's going on.
Yeah, I would encourage farm tours, coming out to see where the food is grown, how it's grown, and making sure that satisfies you, because especially, I mean, Bruce and I are in the business of satisfying people with a good, local, healthy product. And if people don't think that that's, what we're doing, then I'm sure I am. I'm sure, I don't want to speak exactly for Bruce, but I'm sure he's willing to accommodate some people on what they think is healthy moving. But I would also say, look into some labeling regulations. I know there isn't huge talk about it, but there is some. I know in the States they're looking for GMO labels. I mean, that's an easy way that if supermarket things need to be labeled as well as possible, where they come from and what is actually in them, then it's going to easily just shift towards, well, I might as well just eat local produce that I know what's in it, because that's what I want. There's new regulations coming in on allowing organic alfalfa, and that's actually one thing that will completely undercut a lot of the organic food system, because it's generally used for, say, beef, or for feed for beef, or another part of rotation for organic farmers, and taking that out, alfalfa would be very easily contaminated with organic. It's an open pollinated crop, which means wind will blow it in, or bees don't find a fence line and say, I'm not going to cross that, because that's an organic farmer, and that's a conventional chemical farmer. But that's definitely some regulations that are coming into effect right away in the coming future that really need to be looked at hard.
For those of us who want to learn more about that stuff, is there a website you like? We'll see that.
The Green Party Manitoba has a lot to do with certain things like that, especially on the political side. But
there's many.
Yeah, there are. It's really, actually, the one thing about the internet is obviously how much you can learn fairly quickly if you want to about sustainable farming. The Rodale Institute is a really great place to learn about sustainable farming. They published something, I mean, if we've got a minute here, I mean, they just published this 30-year study that showed that organic farming is more productive than conventional. So sometimes on a conventional agriculture, they put out a message that, oh yeah, we may use a lot of petrol and fertilizers, but how are you going to feed the world? Well, it turns out that organic is the way you're going to have to feed the world, because it's more productive than conventional, okay? And that's what some of the data that's now coming out. The studies are now science has been done on this. So the paradigm is shifting and the paradigm is changing, and it's going to be much harder to farm any which way except organic in maybe not so long far away because of the sustainability of it. Because our farms have to build soil, not reduce soil. Another great resource, if you catch any of it, is sort of a celebrity farmer now, is Joel Salatin. If you ever see anything with him, he's in some of the movies like Food Inc. He's all about building soil. He's trying to farm so that he can build soil. Because we basically, up till now, we've sort of been into the soil depletion game. That's where agriculture has worked up till now. We've got to change that. So now we've got to build soil instead of depleting. And organic is definitely one of the ways that can work. And so that puts something in the bank for future generations, right? To have some soil that they can use to grow food later.
I bet we better get the kids moving on their scavenger hunt. Guys, you're
Get too
brilliant.
serious
Thank
anyways.
you. No, it's wonderful. And if we want to contact you, are you guys easy to find on the internet or?
Yeah, absolutely. We're almost urban vegetables. We're just in St. Norbert, so we're almost urban, as it turns out. And Food Ethos Farm, you've got a website located right here on the brochure. So.
There's brochures and stuff too.
Yeah. So,
guys, you're brilliant. It's been great talking to you. Thank you so much.
I once walked up to the produce manager at my local Safeway and wanted to know why these were Product of Canada potatoes. Because Product of Canada is good, but it's not as good as Product of Manitoba, or even, could you be more specific? And he couldn't answer. It's like they're potatoes. Like, we shouldn't be importing potatoes. And I love that you grow bok choy, because I think we have the misconception that if we're going to eat local, we're going to eat potatoes, carrots, and beets, and that's it. No. See? That's good to know. No. Guys, you're brilliant. Thanks a lot. We have kids who want to go searching for stuff. Do you guys want to go look on the scavenger hunt? Yeah? Yeah? Cool. What you have to do is you have to go around to a series of stores here in the forts and find out the answer to a question. You have to find out the answer just by looking around, or maybe even by asking the nice person who works behind the counter, as long as you ask politely and, all that good stuff. What you need to look for, we've got the names of the stores, but they'll also have one of these posters. So look for one of those posters. Scorecards and pencils can be picked up at the table here. Bring them back here when you've completed it in return for a rainbow carrot and a chance to win the big prize. We're going to draw the prize winner's name at 2:15, so have fun. Yay! And remember that you can join the Dig In Challenge for free. diginmanitoba.ca and check it out. Join it for free. There's chances to learn about canning and gardening and all soil depletion and all this stuff that these guys have been talking to. Get your friends involved, somebody who wouldn't normally come down. Tell a friend, and thanks for being here.